Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be, let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel. And let's have equal rights for everybody.
Hello, this is Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host. My buttons are Moms and Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. We are here. We have arrived. It is Coffee Pan Dulce time. We're in the month of November, and the election is over. Which I'm good with. I know last year and the beginning of this year, we dreaded this year for so many reasons, mainly because of how tough 2020 was, how ugly it was, and we knew that we were in for a wild ride, which it has been a wild ride. But the good thing is, elections come and go.
Yeah.
And you know, and no matter how things come out, because obviously we're pre-recording this, so we won't have the results on this segment. But we are going to do a live event. So we're going to insert that into this edition. And make it available later today. But again, this is Christian and Jenny, two Chris in a truck. Coffee at the Dulce.
Almost. Yeah, that's right.
I almost got that out there. But we're excited.
Yes.
We made it in November, Christian.
That's right. As Jenny said, welcome everyone. This is Coffee and Pan Dulce. As Jenny said, welcome everyone. Thanks to those who are watching us on Facebook Live and those who watch us on YouTube, and the thousands who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. So as Jenny said, today is, when you watch this drops on November the 6th. It's the day after the election. This is a pre-taped segment. The second segment will be live. You'll actually know what we know at the time, the results. Hopefully we'll have a winner. We'll have some sense of how things went. And then, of course, we're going to surprise you with the third segment. We're taping what would we say if Harris wins, and what would we say if Trump wins. So it'll be kind of an interesting show. Today's topic is hopefully one of our last topics about the election. I want you to watch Jenny's show that comes on every day, every Wednesday at 11:30. She talks really good about this. This is we hope is going to be our last show about the election, and then the further shows we're going to have some more fun and talking about how we all try to come back together. Today's show is Voto 2024 results. Make America Sane Again. Did we make America sane again? We'll ask ourselves those questions. So, but before we do that, let's go directly into Barb's current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
All right, here we go. Barb's current events. Very first one, Jen. When you watch this, of course, you know, we're taped. The Sunday before this, Donald J. Trump did what he'd call his closing arguments. He did it at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And people, including people like Nikki Haley, a lot of Republican women, are calling it a huge mistake. They're calling it a brovention. It was all about trying to capture guys, like young guys, and for the obscene jokes to the crass language. It was very, very. If you were not a young guy and didn't have that type of sense of humor, you probably wouldn't have got anything out of it. So I want to hear what you have to say about that, Jen. If you agree with them that this was more of a brovention, they think it's a mistake. He should have tried to appeal to women and other people as well. It is what it is. The second one is when you watch this, and we'll see if it even matters. JD Vance once again was on CNN. He loves to go on CNN and thinks he sticks it to the CNN. That's in his mind. He was trying to defend. Jake Tapper asked him why Mike Pence was distancing himself from Trump and why he was not supporting Trump. So JD Vance tried to say that the reason Mike Pence doesn't like Trump is because he couldn't control Trump. That he thought he was going to be able to control Trump, and because he wasn't able to control, so that's the reason he's saying that Mike Pence isn't voting for Trump, not because he tried to hang him, but because of that. So I want to know what you think about that. And then there's a wonderful op-ed, and it's I think it's very timely, especially with this election. We'll know what's kind of happening, but there's a wonderful op-ed that talks about how specifically the Gen X generation, which is mine and Jenny generation, and some of the young baby boomers and the older millennials, people between, I would say, 40 and 65, that's kind of that generation, that they have a very perverse respect for wealth. And because they have a very perverse respect for wealth, they are putting people like Elon Musk, people like all the super billionaires on a pedestal. And other generations haven't always done that. They said the last time this was done was when the magnates, I don't know what they call them, the railroad kings and the real estate kings back in the early 1900s or whenever it was, 1800. I might shows you my Rockefellers and all of them. That was the last time that was done. But America has never really put people like that on a pedestal. But this is a very unique time period, and that is resulting in how our elections, they're being heavily influenced by these very, very wealthy people. So those are the three. And Jen, in 6 minutes, tell us what you think.
Well, I mean, first of all, when you're talking about the ultra wealthy, the billionaire class, is one that they're less than 1% of the population. I think there's like a tenth of 1%.
Yeah.
Because there's like 700 or so billionaires in the United States, and not many more around the world, but a few thousand. Mm-hmm. And when you accumulate that kind of wealth or do that kind of wealth hoarding, it definitely presents a lot of problems for society. But yeah, the super wealthy did influence the election as far as contributing money, contributing to campaigns, maybe giving too much undue influence. And it's definitely conversations that we should be having in 2025 and beyond. But there is a weird hero worship with an Elon Musk and other people. And I think it comes from some of it's probably social media, from the fact that CC SpaceX, like Elon Musk, that owns a social media company, that Trump has his own social media platform, even though he isn't really a billionaire. But they have an undue influence. They can go direct to the people. They don't have to go to the press. The press doesn't like it because obviously social media is self-reporting. It's being able to take your case thing. I think it's weird. I personally think a lot of it is because economic times for some people are a little bit harder. And I think there's a mentality, and I've seen this written by psychologists, is that there is this bro attachment to guys like Sissy SpaceX. oh, if I'm like them and I act like them, I'll become them.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of that probably is reality TV. Some of it's probably, hey, if I go on this reality show, I'll become wealthy. If I run for office, I can become wealthy. And there's this mentality that there is some kind of like weird mentor that's going to do something for you, which is very likely not going to happen. But psychologically, I can understand that. And I think there's always going to be an era of hero worship. But instead of sports stars for some of these people, I think, billionaire celebrities like Oprah, I think Oprah was one of the ones that really started it because not only was she super wealthy, but super influential. Yeah. And I don't think the influence is always bad. I think we should always take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
I think when you look at these super wealthy people, it's just like anything else. I think social media in general is a really good thing. I think that's how we boost this show,
exactly.
This without social media. I mean,
exactly.
We started on Facebook.
That's true.
And we still broadcast on Facebook, and it's one of our biggest platforms, and it's where we get a lot of responses, and so it's one of those things that podcasting probably wouldn't exist if there wasn't celebrity worship. And I think it's a natural thing. I think it's just shifted to these, like the guy that owns Virgin, Airlines and all that, as the Philip, whatever his, blanking on his name right now. But there's like
he's
Mark
a sir
Cuban,
now.
Mark
Sir. I forgot his name.
Like Mark Cuban in the Shark Tank, and there's this alignment because of reality TV and social media. As far as the other, I'm blanking on the other two topics. You went mute.
Yeah. Sorry about that. JD Vance trying to explain why Pence is not supporting Trump. He's saying the reason he's not supporting him or didn't support him was because he couldn't control Trump. And then, of course, the brovention that happened before the election by Donald Trump. Any comments on those?
Yeah, the Nazi rally in the Madison Square Garden, where they impugned minorities and women of all kinds, especially the anti-Puerto Rican rants that people went on that has gotten a lot of flack.
Crazy.
I think it's just stupid. I think when you do something like that, and most of the people were very, very white, very Caucasian, very bro-y, very, very not. It was tended to be kind of funny, and it wasn't funny at all. It was more of the punch down. Here, we're if you don't like us, you don't like humor, you don't like free speech, and this whole mentality that you should be able to just say what you want.
Sure. Okay.
And be a jackass. And to a certain point, I do agree with that.
Sure.
From the aspect that, you can say what you want, but don't be mad when there's a consequence. So the second part to that is, if you want to be a dumb fuck in public, be a dumb fuck. But don't be a little crybaby weenus when there's consequence, when you get canceled, when you don't get voted for, if you don't get hired for that job, you get fired from your job. Don't come crying to Mama Jenny. Then don't be a crybaby about it. Don't be a weenus. Sack up and be a man about it.
How about the JD Vance remark? We only got like 2 minutes left here on this first segment.
He's an idiot.
Yeah.
This is the stupidest thing ever. Mike Pence he's not even in control. He doesn't even have much of a say in his own marriage. He calls his wife.
Well, maybe because mother couldn't control him. I mean, that's an excellent point.
Little Norman Bates.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen. Well, that's it for our first section. As we mentioned, this episode is going to be kind of a compilation of several things. When you return on our second segment, we'll actually be live or be recorded live. We'll explain it when we do it, and you'll know the results. But just to let you know, Jenny, the owner of Virgin Airlines, is Sir Richard Branson. The great thing about the internet is you can just type it in real quickly, and that's it.
I used to live in Branson, so
yeah. Hey. What? So we'll be back on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll find out the results of the election. We'll be right back right after this.
hey y'all, thanks for watching the Florida shows. They've been wildly successful. Obviously, it's a topic that you guys have enjoyed and wanted to know more of. And we like talking about the dumpster fire that used to be the state of Florida. And we'll probably talk about it some more this summer. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching. And support local Black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery. That has some fabulous pastries, food, king cakes, all kinds of specialty cakes, swallows, and much, much more. Some of the best food you eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo's Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching. Hey, y'all, thanks for watching our spring shows and sticking with us. And we've got a fabulous summer lineup. I hope y'all are excited as I am. And let's enjoy our summers. Hot Girl Summer 2024. See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. Welcome back, everyone. So, all right, we've got the results. Jenny,
we're here.
Oh, it's tough to wake up this morning, but all right, tell us what happened, Jen.
Well, damn. I think we messed up, but we as Democrats just didn't show up. We didn't get it done. Donald J. Trump won his second presidency last night, and couple notable things, and because I think there's always, whether it's sports ball or it's elections, you have to look at the metrics. You have to look at the scoreboard and go, where did we go wrong? Did we not carry the ball enough? Did we not shoot enough shots? What did we do tactically that cost this? And one thing that struck me strange is I was watching the vote count come in, not the electoral college, but I saw the vote count seemed really low. And so this morning, one of the things I did, because I usually get up and kind of research a few things for every week, one of the things that struck me funny was how different the total amount of votes cast were. Both candidates. Trump in 2020 got 74 million votes. Biden got 81 million votes. This year, Trump dropped down to 71 million votes. He dropped down 3 million votes, 74 in 2020, 71 in 2024. Mark, that's a lot of votes. 3 million votes is quite a bit. Harris did way worse. She dropped from 81 million votes that Biden garnered when she was the vice president on the ticket to 66 million. So a lot of Democrats stay at home.
Yeah.
Now, is it because mail-in balloting was restricted more this year? Was drive-up early voting restricted in certain states like Texas? That cost us some votes. It did just voter fatigue, because we got Trump that's been running for 9 years, and we didn't have Harris run for even 9 months.
Sure.
Is it a fact that we didn't get the country energized behind her because it was such a short wrap-up time? And or did women not come out to vote as much as we thought? Did we not energize our base as much as we thought? When they pull the statistics apart over the next few days and the next few weeks, we won't know the exact deal. But what we do know with the raw data is that Harris did 15 million votes less, which is more than Texas, Florida, and New York combined. That's just like wiping out 3 states worth of votes for us.
So it does look like,
lot.
that's a good point, Jenny. I know you covered this on your show about these numbers, and as you mentioned, I think over the next couple of weeks and who knows, maybe months, as all the data people look through the data and look at all the exit poll and everything, they'll kind of find out. But what I noticed yesterday was that it doesn't really mean a lot, but that's what they're kind of suggesting, is that Trump overperformed with Latino votes, specifically Latino men. That's what they're saying. I mean, they don't know until they go over all of it, but he went from like winning like 18% to 25%. And Biden had gotten like 40% of the Latino vote, and she dropped to like 20%. So she dropped like 25 percent in those. So in many ways, what they're suggesting is that in a lot of these areas that Trump overperformed with Latino votes, Trump overperformed with certain groups, and she just didn't bring out what Biden had done in 2020. But one of the things, you mentioned this on your show, and I was kind of thinking about it as well. In a way, this might be the end of moderates having influence in the Democratic Party. That I know you and I mentioned that on and it'll be on this last segment when people are watching this, but I felt like if Vice President Harris had won, then it would have been slowing down the progressive movement in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Because she lost and how big she lost with the energizing the vote and so forth, I think this is MAGA and Trump have opened up have awakened the lion or awakened the beast with the young progressive people who are now going to say, we've tried it your way in 2016. We've tried it your way. 2020 was kind of an odd year, but we tried it your way now. We are no longer going to let you run the messaging. You were talking about how you almost have to run like they did, and I think that you're going to see moving forward. Here's the good news: 2 more. Unfortunately, I do believe they won the Senate. I do believe that they may have won control of the House, so now they're going to have all 3 branches. But the good news is, and you mentioned this in your show, they don't have the ability to govern. There's going to be so much infighting within the MAGA movement, and there's going to be MTG trying to tear everything up, and they're not going to be able to, get things done. The Senate, they still need the 60 votes to pass anything. Trump doesn't have the ability to manage anything. It's going to be chaos for at least the next year. In January, people will start running for Congress in 2 more years. And it's going to be all about, and I think we're going to see a huge flip in both the House and any Senate races that might be up for grabs. I'm not sure how many there will be. So I do think, in a way, like you said, you almost have to lose to win. Is that kind of what you said in your show? Or
I think too. So, I think sometimes you have to take the bogey. I think sometimes you have to dust yourself off and go, what did we learn from this? What did we learn as a group of people? What did we learn as a political entity? And I think, I think we need to do better, and I think we need to start now. Sure, I think we need to do our own Project 2025, and, and we got to start building yesterday.
Sure.
The best time to do something was yesterday. The second best time is to do it today. And if it's not an all or nothing equation. First of all, politics is always a game of a tug of war, so to speak. There's always that flag moves back and forth eternally. Like you never win. There's not a goal line for politics. We've seen it in our lifetimes, Christian. Is we've seen the wild swing of Nixon and Reagan and Carter and Clinton
to Clinton to
W to
Obama to like Trump to Biden, now to Trump. We've
seen a roller coaster ride because that's America. We are bipolar at best. We are definitely the hillbillies. We're the trailer park of the planet, and we're very immature. We still live and die off shows like Jackass and Inappropriateness and Dave Shit Pale, and just people just being wacky, being over the top. And we kind of expect in this TikTok cool kids era, our politicians are going to have to pivot. And you know, and that's why Jeff Jackson's successful.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about some of the, you and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. There are some bright spots. I know we kind of talked about this last week that, so tell us some of the bright spots for those of us who live in a sane state.
Well, first of all, I do want to say congratulations to Donald J. Trump. I'm a good sport, and I can admit
it's hard
when I get my ass. But no, to me, he ran a great race. He did what he needed to do to win, and he deserves a win. He didn't cheat. He fought hard. 78-year-old man shitting his pants in front of everybody and swaying the music instead of talking. He did what people wanted him to do, which is be a jackass. And obviously 71 million people said, I want a jackass for a president. So congratulations, Donnie Dickface. As far as the local and the state stuff, an amazing job in North Carolina. Democrats. We kept the governor's mansion. We kept the attorney general's office, and we got the secretary of education with Mo Green for sure locked up. And I think they're still counting in government race, even though the Democrat hunt is ahead. And I think it would be the first time that we've had a woman lieutenant governor if she does win.
That's
notable
true.
Tosstein is the first Jewish governor of North Carolina.
He is.
Very notable. This era of anti-Semitism. He handily beat Mark Robinson, which he self-described himself as a black Nazi. Probably not a good look. I mean,
exactly.
You can go part fascist. You never can go full on Nazi. There's never
exactly.
Don't go step. It just work otherwise. Like, hey, Republicans, just, maybe tone down that. Maybe don't say as a black person or a person of color, I would have owned slaves too. Just little tidbits for the next chuckle fuck that you run for North Carolina governor in 2028.
Exactly.
Maybe not run somebody so dumb. I don't know. Kudos to Jeff Jackson for retiring Dan Bishop, hopefully. Hopefully this is the last time that we see the unfortunate genitalia obsessed Dan Bishop, and good riddance to him and his
question, Jen, because I know you touched on this but kind of briefly, but one of the things that I want to get out of this, and I'm being purely selfish just for me, and this is probably therapy for me. I hope this loss, the hurt of this loss, and I said this on your show also, is very similar to, I remember being a die hard Cowboy fan and us losing a really, the guy drops it and so forth. I hope this loss gives me more bravery to speak out about certain things in general, instead of always trying to be so polite. And I mean, I want to be a polite person, but at the same time, the goal is to win. I'm going to say it like that, but I guess what I'm, So I guess what I was suggesting this. Do you think that Jeff Jackson not only did well because he was a really good candidate, he's a very good-looking young guy, was able to communicate, and Dan Bishop really was just an ugly old guy?
Well, he's ugly inside and out. So
sure, good point. Good point.
I think Jeff Jackson is quietly aggressive.
Sure. Yes.
He's very slick in what he does. He plays up the aw shucks, look at the goofballs on the other side without calling names.
Yes.
He is quietly a lot like a MAGA, not from a political sense or a mentality sense or even a class sense. Like he's got all of his teeth. He's not,
yes.
Jeff is a really good guy. He's a good family man, just a good American. One thing he does really good, and if you watch his reels and you watch his TikToks, is he's very slick about winky face.
Yeah.
Look at the other side. Look how silly they are. Look at me over here just talking about it calmly.
Sure.
And I smile at you, and and I use my rugged good looks. I'm Jeff. I'm the all-American guy. I'm above it all, but I'm still going to point it out. But in a low-key shade way. He is a shady queen, but he's low-key shady. He's not He's not dumb shady like MTG, where she just get me another bottle of wine.
Exactly.
Drunk girl at the bar shady. And it really plays in his favor because he has that personality. He can pull it off. It's why he's wildly popular on the social media. It's why he does really good amongst women voters, gay voters, people that appreciate his style. That's why he did so good in 2022 when he won his congressional seat. He went up against a very wealthy Republican.
Yeah.
And the things like I don't know, the jet ski ad that he ran that year.
Yeah.
Some of the ads that he's run against Sam Bishop, he did
not give up on the late ads with Dan Bishop tying him to Mark Robinson and using Mark Robinson's own words. And you mentioned that on your show about how VP Harris kind of stopped attacking the last week.
Pulled up.
Yeah.
Pulled up early October.
Thinking she was going to do well with moderate Republicans.
There's a couple of things, but you got to win your party.
Yes, exactly. So we say that all the time.
Obama played to our base. You got to win the black vote. You got to win the white people vote. You got to energize people. You got to inspire people, whether it's with fear, all those foreigners are going to make your cookie, or whether it is a audacity of hope like Obama did.
Sure.
You got to do a little bit of both. And you got to go after them. And I'll tell you something that was very disappointing with the Tim Walz and Vance debate was Walz was very subdued. He was way too much tried to play Mr. Nice Guy. He was way too complicit with Vance. He was not. God, he just seemed so unconfident. He seemed so shy almost. And Vance was not. Vance was aggressive.
Sure.
And he came out swinging. He had a better debate than Trump did. Trump just does his thing. He's just like a bowling ball razor blades. He just keeps rolling. He just blubber, orange cans and things like that. But, back on North Carolina, I think, we saw Mo Green beat the crazy. We saw Jeff Jackson beat the crazy, and we saw Josh Stein
beat the crazy.
But they ran ads, and they made sure everybody heard the sound bites from that crazy woman that was running against Mo Green. And they were really good at just playing clips of her saying conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I mean, they did not let their opponents brand them.
Nope.
They I don't want to say ran like Republicans, but they ran they ran to win. So
they ran, and they branded the other side with their own words and their own actions, their own failings of their own party, and they hit them in the most vulnerable spots, like an Achilles heel. Like the North Carolina But races, the reason why they were all competitive is because they were all friggin' aggressive. But they didn't have to be aggressive, like, mean spirited. They honestly were not afraid to point out what they said and play clips of Mark Robinson saying just the awful things that he continually says, and just paint him as the jackass he is.
Yeah, good point. Hey, well, listen, we've run out of time on this segment, and we want to thank everyone for watching us. So once again, as Jenny said, we want to congratulate the new president-to-be, President-elect Donald J. Trump. Will be the 47th president of the United States. But, as Jenny said, we will survive. What's that song? I will survive.
Yeah.
We need to.
And we got a great governor. We're going to get a new governor that's just as awesome as the previous one. Got a great attorney general. We don't have to worry about flippant lawsuits coming from him. We'll have sanity in the offices that we need to protect North Carolina kids with Mo Green. Mo Green's going to be a great education leader, and I'm excited about I'm hoping that Hunt wins the lieutenant governorship. It'd be great to have her up there in Raleigh, because her dad was a long-term governor and she knows how to get things done. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to see in North Carolina. And I think it's going to continue to help us grow. We're one of the highest growing states in the United States.
Plus, as you mentioned, it gives us 4 years to talk about Trump.
We got 4 years to rip on Republicans. And midterms just 2 years away.
2 years away.
And a lot of Republican senators are up for re-election, including the North Carolina one. And we've got a lot of opportunities in 2026, which will be here in just a few months. In about 14 months, we'll be there again for midterms.
That's incredible.
So
that's incredible.
The wicked do not get the rest, and so
that's right.
We'll definitely have plenty of show material, folks. Like cannon fodder for all.
That's right. That's right. So listen, when we come back, you'll see our last segment, which we taped last week, and you'll see if it matched what we said we would say. So we'll be back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
So we have a great fall lineup, and we encourage you to tune in to many of our fabulous shows, like our Say show, and many more things in October and November as well. Thanks for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all. Welcome back, everyone. So that was the results. Were you surprised? I know we'll find out. We're actually taping this. So this last commercial before we go to our third segment is about Jenny's show that comes on an hour after this every Wednesday at 11:30. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. It's a great show today. So I encourage you to watch it. She talks about some really good things, especially our need to get past the elections and get on with certain things. So this last commercial is Jenny's show. Hi, I'm Christian Cano. Thank you so much for joining us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. And also thank you so much for watching us on Facebook and on YouTube. But also don't forget, you can actually listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and others. Once again, thank you so much for watching us and listening to us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Have a great day.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. Don't forget to join Jenny's show. All right. This is the third segment. This is taped. This is not live. We're going to do the first 5 minutes, what we would do if Donald Trump wins. And then the second 5 minutes is going to be what we would say or do if Vice President Harris wins. You ready for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna act like our second segment. We are suggesting that Donald Trump has won the election for the next 4 more years. So, all right, here we go. All right, Jen. We've been waiting for these results all year long. Last night was not a good night for those of us who felt like we needed to try to save democracy. Some few wins. I think it's safe to say that we could safely say there were a couple of good wins. Ted Cruz lost Texas. Rick Scott lost Florida. We'll see. So, I don't know. What are your feelings knowing that Donald J. Trump has won to return back to the presidency?
I think we fucked around and we found out, and in just like in 2016, there's probably going to be a lot of FOMO and a lot of regret and a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. But the reality is that politicians come and go. Life always finds a way. Kudos to their campaign for running a hard fight campaign. And they played their game and they won. And
Sure.
we can't criticize them we can't do the same thing they did, which is complain after a result. And to me, in politics, you don't always have to like the result. It means you work harder for the next election, which is the midterms in 2026. Losing can teach you a valuable lesson just as much as winning.
Sure.
And I think we learned a valuable lesson in this election cycle of allowing the ability to have a felon run for office and win at all costs, and hopefully it doesn't cost us our democracy. I don't think it will, only because they're incompetent and they're bumbling idiots, and Trump really doesn't care about anything other than just staying in office and staying out of prison.
Sure.
And most likely he won't finish this term. I mean, at his advanced age and clearly not the greatest of health. Who knows what the next 4 years will bring? But clearly, they played their game and they convinced enough people to vote their way. But I'm not completely mad about it.
Sure.
Local elections affect your life more than anybody, whether you win or lose on the national level. Just like if Biden would have lost in 2020, life still would have gone on. Just like Reagan winning twice and W winning twice, like it brings about certain things, and it maybe rolls back certain civil rights or delays certain movements, but also
it's not going to stop progress. I
also think about post-Civil War and how there was still another 100 years of segregation and Jim Crow, and how many generations lived and died under that segregation and apartheid in America, and think about it's just another 4 years. And for the most part, your federal government doesn't have a lot of influence on your daily life. And I still got to go out, still got to work, still got to do the things we need to do. And being on this journey, and especially going sober a little over 10 months ago, the one thing it's given me is a lot of clarity. A lot of clarity on what's important and what's not important. And elections do matter, but they also, you got to put them in there. Even if Harris would have won, you got to put it in perspective. There's got to be a perspective at the end of it.
That's an excellent points and very well taken. And I completely agree with you, Jenny, that we have to accept the results. Don't like it. It is there was a lot of angst all year long. We've been talking about it constantly, especially you and I, since we're so involved in things not only in our community but also just doing the show. But I just want to say that one of my biggest concerns, fears, anxiety was, and I'm going to get a little personal here, was eternally how this election would impact those that I love, someone like you, Jenny. And to hear you tell me before we started taping this show that we've just got to move on, we've just got to kind of, do things, really has helped me because my biggest concern was how this is going to impact people who are marginalized more than I am, so to speak. And the fact that you can say to our viewers and listeners that you can move on and stuff, really, I don't know you'll know the impact, but it does help those of us who care and love you, but also those our viewers and listeners to let, especially if you're young and you don't have the skill set to kind of move on, let you know we're going to be here for you. We're going to be here for you. Quite honestly, Trump's victory is better for comedy and shows like ours because it gives us something to really talk about.
The jokes write themselves.
Exactly. And we will survive. Those of us who have who are up there in age or aging, like Jenny and I, we survived the AIDS crisis. We survived a lot of marginalized. We survived the Ronald Reagan years. We survived the Don't Ask, Don't Tell years. Marginalized communities hunker together during times are tough. We start protecting each other. We move to little bubbles around the country. And as Jenny said, local elections are very important. And I'm very fortunate to live in this city of Charlotte.
And I think in dark times or in uncertain times, which I think it's really more of an uncertain time than a dark time.
Sure.
We got to think about what FDR said, which is nothing to fear but fear itself.
Yeah.
And life goes on. And it's not. I think the only time that you should lose hope is when you give up. And I don't think it's part of the human spirit. And I know with myself personally that.
Sure.
I've had a lot of harder things to deal with in my life than an election. And to me, I don't want to live a life of fear. I don't want my joy tied to a politician that wins.
Exactly.
Because also too, a lot of times our politicians that we love disappoint us. And because Biden didn't always do what I thought he should do. And just like Obama did, and just like Clinton did, before them is that whether you're a Democrat or Republican, if you it's sort of like tying your personality completely to a sports ball team.
Exactly. And that's a good point.
A lot of loved ones do it, and then they have a shitty week when the Cowboys lose, and they have a great week when they win. And I'm going
guilty.
Well, it's great if they're a Super Bowl bound.
Exactly, but if they're a mediocre team, it's a tough year.
But if they lose half or more of their games, maybe like the Panthers.
Good point.
You're tying yourself to something that has really nothing to do with real life.
Sure.
It's supposed to be. Yeah. The whole point is, and I think back to the book that came out, I think it was the 1990s or early 2000s, called "Don't Sweat the Small Stuff," because all of it is the small stuff.
Sure.
And it was little 2-page little chapters, little vignettes telling you, don't fight the battle before it occurred, and all these nice little life events. But this too, like everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Yeah,
we'll exactly.
Not big of a deal.
Sure. Excellent. Good point.
We make it a bigger deal than it really is.
Sure. Yeah. Good point.
Both sides do.
Excellent point. So, with that said, we want to congratulate the new president of the United States again, Donald J. Trump. It's going to be a tough 4 years, but we'll survive it all together, and we'll come out of it a lot stronger and a lot clearer focus than we were before. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to go 5 minutes on if Vice President Harris would have won the election. So, you ready, Jen?
Yep.
All right, here we go. All right, well, everyone, the results are in. We just showed them. History has been made. I'm actually broadcasting from the capital of the United States, Washington D.C., in an undisclosed location. So, Jenny, what are your first thoughts about Vice President Harris winning the election?
Well, congratulations to her and her team, and to the Biden team for supporting her and making the wise choice of stepping aside. Obviously, it was a campaign well ran, and she deserves all the adulation that comes with winning a presidency and making history as being our first woman president. And what an exciting time, and what an exciting time to see a woman of color go from being a prosecutor in San Francisco, California many years ago to rising up from the lower middle class, and surviving so much, and become literally every kid's dream of in the back of their minds of being president of the United States. And it is exactly what America does exemplify, that we can have people with humble beginnings win, maybe not necessarily always the presidency, but you see many people that have began life as a struggle, whether you're a racial minority, whether you're a woman, whether you're a queer person, whatever, is that it's inspiring from the fact that us people that are in marginalized communities can look to her and say, oh, one of us won. It's cool. It's not another white guy, it's not a step and repeat, like we've had throughout history, except for Obama, is that we didn't have Obama be just a one-off. And I think it's cool to see somebody other than older white men win the presidency. It is historic, but also keep in mind it's just one job in the federal government. The Supreme Court, the Congress,
still the Senate, and I wish we would have beat Ted Cruz. I wish we would have beat Rick Scott. There are some other.
The jubilance of winning, whether this segment ages like milk or fine wine, I don't know. But because we are recording this before the election, so
that's right. We don't know.
Have a little fun with it. But I do hope that this part of the recording comes true. And it's exciting. I think there has to be a perspective, though, is that there's still a lot of work to do. There's still this is the tip of the sword, just like we knew when Biden won in 2020. It's the tip of the sword that it's like the book Freedom is a Constant Struggle. Is it never ends. You don't, there isn't freedom is not a destination. Throughout world history, human history especially, freedom's not something that you just, even when Moses, delivered people to the promised land and said, let my people go, and parted the Red Sea and all that kind of stuff. There isn't this poof, we're here. It's kind of like aging. It's you don't stop until you're dead, so people, in fact, a lot of trans people develop this mentality that I'll get to a certain part of my transition and it'll be perfect. And when perfection never comes and nirvana never comes, because life don't work that way, is that our bodies and our minds constantly transition no matter who you are. And, I used to be 6 months old and I used to be a baby too, in the same lifetime. I used to be a teenager and now I'm a middle-aged woman. And it's one of those things. The bar constantly moves, and as historic and wondrous as this is, and how a breath of fresh air having her as our president, and congratulations to Vice President Harris for a well thought campaign, and the brilliance and the joy she brings. It's still one person.
So I'm going to tell you once again all that Jenny has said, but also my reaction is Vice President Harris winning. Yes. So that's what I'm going to say, and we're going to jump directly into our Pendejo Chronicles. And this is the Pendejo Chronicles. All right. This is the Pendejo of the week, even though the election is over. I have to say, this is a very unique situation because generally the October surprise comes from the opposition bringing something out on the person they're running against. The October surprise for this election actually was self-inflicted by Donald J. Trump. When he did his brovention at the Madison Square Garden the Sunday for his closing arguments, he let hang there the controversy about the Puerto Rican the joke, the insult to the Puerto Ricans, but there was a lot of other jokes in there. This comedian insulted Jews, he insulted Hispanics, all Latinos, and all black and African Americans. He insulted everybody. The fact that Donald J. Trump and his campaign couldn't stop the bleeding on this was a huge mistake, especially considering the number of Puerto Rican Americans that lived in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, in North Carolina, the state that we live in, Florida. It was a ridiculous self-inflicted wound. All he had to do was come out, hit and say, went a little too far with that. I don't agree with it, but it was funny. But he said it was a perfect situation. In typical Trump never admits that they've ever made a mistake, because in Trump's mind, you can't admit you're a fault. But it was a huge fault because they underestimated. There are certain communities within the Latinx Hispanic community, or Latini, whatever term you use, community, that never forget Puerto Rican Americans, Cuban Americans, and some other, more Mexican American Tejanos are kind of forgiving because we're incredibly assimilated. But there's certain segments of our community that are very, very proud of the flag and their island and so forth. And I think it was a huge mistake it was self-inflicted, and everyone has been talked about it all week long. And so that was the pendejo of the week. How anyone could allow that to happen, because it was a self-inflicted wound. I don't know if you want to add anything before we close the show, Jen. I
think that's the way they've always felt, though.
Sure, I agree.
Doing that kind of stuff is something, and he's said, and people around him have always said some of the grossest things. We've heard all the southern border remarks and the Mexican meth thing, and the senator from Montana said is we need to make meth here in this country, and just the insulting, demeaning, the rapist and killer remarks in 2016. He's those kind of bigots.
Sure.
First of all, bigotry is ignorance.
Yeah.
And so when they say the quiet part out loud, you just go, oh, that's a nice reminder. It's the same kind of people that did the birther movement against Obama, only because he was black. 100% because he was black and born in Hawaii. That he was his birthright as an American to run for presidency was questioned, and if he was a white guy and he was named Seamus O'Leary and he grew up in Massachusetts, we wouldn't even question it.
Yeah, exactly.
To assume that white people are Americans, which is the height of ignorance when you look at indigenous people. But we're not. It's not shocking that jackasses say stuff like that. It's just shocking that people still keep giving them microphones.
Exactly. Well, and we've talked about this a lot on this show over the last seasons, and we've done shows about using the term Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, Latini, whatever term you use, whatever term feels more comfortable, Tejano, and the diversity and the uniqueness within the Hispanic, Latinx community, or Latini, whatever term you use, is very. I'm generalizing, but generally there are certain ethnicities in the group. Cuban Americans are very proud of being Cuban Americans. There's certain uniquenesses. Dominican Americans, Puerto Rican Americans have this very unique place in our Hispanic Latinx culture because Puerto Ricans are American. I mean, they live on an island. They're not Latino because they're not from Latin America. They're from Caribbean. They're more Hispanic American, and they have no necessarily need to assimilate, because who are they assimilating for? They are, you know what I mean? Whereas Mexican American Tejanos, those of us who grew up in Texas, New Mexico, California, Arizona, we've always been in those areas, so we also have no need to assimilate, and we're more assimilating. There's a very uniqueness of different, and the Puerto Rican Americans, the proudness of the Puerto Rican Americans, I equate it to the early Irish Americans. They were very proud to be Irish Americans, and you don't insult Ireland or those kind of things. And so it was a huge misunderstanding of the Latinx Hispanic culture. I think Trump assumed he could punch down on Puerto Ricans in his campaign like he does with Mexican Americans and other Hispanics. He didn't think that their influence would be strong enough. But when the Republicans in the Puerto Rican Americans in the Republican Party, even the Republican Party chairman of the Puerto Rican island said it was a huge mistake. He's going to lose the election because of this. You would think that he would say, all right, I can't afford to lose 300,000 votes in Pennsylvania and so forth. So to me, that was a pendejo move. He deserves that. And that was the October surprise. So regardless of who wins this, we'll find out how that influenced the election. What I'm hearing from Spanish radio, especially Puerto Rican Spanish radio, is people who were supporting Trump are now saying, or did say, because this is pre-recorded, you can't talk about things like that. And so anyway, that is the pendejo of the week. You want to say anything before we end the show, Jen?
No, I think it's always stupid to be a bigot.
Sure, exactly. Good point.
It'll always be
exactly. Excellent. So that ends this show. We'll find out. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week's show, actually, we'll be talking about our last show about the election. I promise. We'll be talking about, can America bring neighbors back again? We'll talk about, after this election, can we come back as neighbors, and can we come back pre-2016, those of us who remember those days, can we come back to that? And then we'll have another show. Hopefully we'll have Dr. B back the third week of November. We'll talk about holiday season post-COVID 2024. Believe it or not, there's still COVID. Those of us who've got the updated shots, they're now recommending 2 updated shots if you're 65 and older. So we'll be talking about that. And then we'll end the November with, do you remember the supply chain scares of 3 years ago? You remember that, Jen? We'll talk about it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we'll talk about
it. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that one. So we'll see you next time on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Thank you so much for watching. Jenny, thank you for helping us pull this off. I guess we'll dance out.
See y'all. Hey, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. And hey, we've made it to November, so we are here, and we've been talking about it all year, getting past the election. And we're talking about a lot more lighthearted stuff today, and maybe some important stuff that's outside of the political world, and have more fun in this holiday season in November and December, because there is other things to talk about. And so stay safe out there, enjoy the early holiday season, and get your Christmas shopping done early. See y'all next
Christmas.
Bye, y'all. Bye, y'all. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Coffee Pan Dulce. And the election's over. We got here, kids. Elections come and go, and politicians come and go. And as the late great Robin Williams said, we should change toilet paper as often as we change politicians. Come on, 2026. But we'll see you next week, and congratulations to Jeff Jackson, Josh Stein, and Mo Green for running Sanders campaigns, and we will live to fight another day. Bye, y'all.
That's right. Bye, y'all.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is 2 Queers and a Truck. Stay tuned.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Sounds great.
You sounded like a telenova. I mean,
I'm trying to. All I have to say is go. Yes.
As a non-Spanish speaker.
Okay. So when we come back, it'll be live. All
Okay.
right. And then now we're going to go into our third segment, which we're going to record 5 minutes, and I'll say, okay, now let's talk about if whoever wins. Okay. So here we go. But actually, we're going to come back and then say that was the results. We're going to go into our third segment, and then because that's your commercial.
Okay.
So and then we're going to take another break. Here we go. Okay. Now we're going to come back to our third segment. Here we go.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.